Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Let's start. This is one of my more favorite versions of this bhajan. So I could see a lot of you all are also enjoying it. I'm glad. Okay, let's start. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome back to Vedanta Treatise. Today we will begin a new chapter called The Law of Causation. A very interesting and beautiful chapter, talking about one of the essential ideas in Vedanta philosophy, and perhaps even help clarify several misconceptions about karma, about causation, about God, the role of God. So before we jump into that, we'll start with any questions from the previous classes or anything if anyone is wanting to clarify.
Hari Om, is it possible to summarize once again the impediments in the spiritual path? That seems very relevant. I just thought if we can summarize it once again.
Sure. Okay. Are there any questions specifically? Otherwise, I'll start with this summary.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, the example of that guy with the pole, the athlete with the pole, when that moment comes when you let go, so that is very crucial at the right moment to let go. So, if you try and do we in meditation also, what I've been hearing from you, that unless it's the right time to meditate, it's when you start meditation and you don't do it correctly, you give it up. Rather, you should first train yourself and then go for meditation. Does it have any similarity, this thing, the letting go? And
Yeah, see, if you want to use the example, I'm glad you're thinking about the example perhaps at a second degree, right? Then I can argue that okay, there's a right time to everything. There's a right time to start sprinting. There's a right time to lifting the pole to a certain angle. There's a right time to actually planting it, right? Uh, so it's not just about the letting go, but everything has to be orchestrated in a certain manner, right? The idea being that there has to be a self-analysis of where you are, right? And at no point, please let me, I always put this disclaimer out. I'm not asking you guys to not meditate, right? That's the end goal of our sadhana is to meditate and realize, right? All we are saying is that there is a process to it and there is a journey to it, and don't think that or rather be true. I'm not the one to tell you what level you are. You have to determine what level you are, and there are many guidelines, there are many markers, there are many yardsticks with which you can measure yourself, right? In the Bhagavad Gita we talk about the various qualities of a jnani, of a bhakta, of a yogi. We talk about so many different yardsticks, so many different attributes which you develop on the way of your spiritual evolution, right? They give you a mark of where you stand. So meditation is for an advanced seeker. Means the really advanced stage of meditation where you're meant to go completely inward and then have that process of letting go is meant for a seeker who has walked this path. That's for you to determine have you walked the path or not. that doesn't mean you shouldn't meditate. You should get a taste of it. Chaklo, as we say, right? You should get a taste of it. You should even include it in some proportion uh, in your sadhana, couple of minutes here or there, a regular practice of it. But it's about where you place the emphasis. And for the bulk of people, the emphasis ought to be on instilling Vedanta into their everyday experience, instilling this knowledge and its principles in the way you live your life, the way you relate to others, the way in which you manage your relations with things and beings, right? So don't be in a fool's paradise. Oh, now I've learned about meditation. I'm going to meditate and then let go. Um, I would say more than thinking about when I have to let go, keep at the back of your mind that you have to let go. Uh, that everything is a means, not an end. That's it, right? Um, at least in my experience, these it doesn't have to be hyper calibrated. Okay, when to let go, when to not let go. No, it has to be an understanding that it's a means, not an end. You'll know if you follow that, you'll know when something is outlived its purpose, right? Uh, you'll know when this class has outlived its purpose. Seriously, there'll be a time, hopefully, right? That's letting go. So you'll know when an ashram has outlived its purpose, maybe temporarily, right? You'll know that, but for that you'll have to have that spirit, that idea, that understanding, that clarity of everything is a means, not an end. That brings me to uh, answer uh, Sajjanji's question about the impediments on the spiritual path. There's only one impediment. Only one impediment on the spiritual path is attachment. Attachment is that state of dependency. Attachment is that mental bondage which you create to anything you meet in life. Now, in the initial stages, a non starter to spiritual progress is attachment to material objects, attachment to things and beings, attachment to ideas. And the extent to which you are attached, to that extent, you will be unable to truly appreciate these ideas, these values. It'll be painful. It's like if you form too many entanglements with something and I separate you, it'll be painful, right? It's like fibers. Attachments are those fibers. I'm like tearing those fibers, those connections. So where you are attached and you're separated from what you're attached to, it is painful. Now the only point is no one wants to hurt you. Nobody wants to hurt you. But the truth of the world, the fact of the world is everything is temporary. Whatever you meet is a surgeon. Everybody has a surgeon. Everything has a surgeon. So it's not so much a threat. I'm not threatening you. Listen, you have to be detached. It's for your own forget spiritual growth, even for your own well-being, even for your own mental solace. It's an essential quality. That's the concept of Leela. Leela means a play. It's play. You have to have that lightheartedness. That's play. It's going to have a first act, opening act. It's going to have a closing act. And eventually you'll all have to get off stage. And as Shakespeare said, you have to come on stage again. Reincarnation. So that spirit of detachment. Now that spirit of detachment has to be towards material objects and as you grow spiritually, even towards spiritual ideas and spiritual disciplines. So that brings us back to the example of the pole vault. You have to know how to use the pole to spring yourself up, and you also have to remember at the back of your mind, you cannot carry the pole across. The pole itself becomes an impediment after a point. So it's not so much a certain idea or a certain concept or a certain practice that is the truth. All of these are a means to an end. So there's no point in splitting hairs between, you know, uh, see, something that really helps is um,
Utsavji, here Guruji has used the simile of a pole vault, whereas Gautam Buddha has used the same simile in a different way. People were carrying the boat on their head. After having crossed the river, they were carrying the boat on their head. Then the Buddha said, "You fools, why are you carrying the boat on your head?" He said, the boat has made us cross the river. He said, now you no longer need the boat to carry on your head, leave it. So this is attachment and detachment. So Guru can take you to a certain distance, and after that you have to travel on your own. You see, the basis of Advait Vaad is only this myth, that we have to walk all alone. Guru is only a sadhan to certain, he can carry us to a certain place, to certain distance. Then we have to leave Guru also. So that is the actually idea of pole vault. So he has used the word pole vault. Pole vault also a good example, but this is also another example. Am I right or wrong?
yeah, absolutely, it's a beautiful example. The boat has served its purpose. So don't be foolish to carry it around. So the idea is also that the spiritual disciplines and everything that comes with a spiritual journey is itself very enticing, entertaining, gratifying. Especially if you become a spiritual guru, so many people will follow you. They lay their lives at your feet. You become the image of God for them. It's dangerous. It's a great kick to your ego. So can you remain detached even at that stage? But that's for when we become spiritual gurus, and that's when we become spiritual masters, if at all. But keep this sense, this idea of detachment at the back of your head, that everything is a means, not an end. Okay. Any other questions?
Where you said about one level of impediments is mundane. Now, this mundane I would treat as, too many thoughts, not a clear decision on the path that I want to take, and going here and there. So that is what keeps me away from progressing.
Yeah, it's too many thoughts. It's an unresolved idea of it's an unresolved inquiry. There's no inquiry.
Hmm.
At any stage of life, whatever age you are, the world will have its attractions. The world will have its preoccupations.
Hmm.
So that's why we say the mumukshatva, as it is, the desire for liberation or the desire for spiritual inquiry. We say it's by grace. By grace means we attribute it to God, saying, "Oh, there's a God that is gracing us." No, that's not what it means. Grace means that it has come from your past efforts. It's come from your past efforts. Today, if you make the think of it as a tug of war, tug of war that came. Think of it as a tug of war. There's a pull from the world, and you are also trying to pull. So your mind is being pulled by the world and its attractions, and you yourself, through your self effort, have to pull through a purushartha, have to pull your mind towards the spiritual journey. Idea is that if when you're starting, the pull from the world will be very, very strong, but you have to keep at it. You have to keep bringing your mind back, keep reminding yourself. No effort is lost. All your efforts to bring yourself to this journey are cumulative. Perhaps it lasts lifetimes, which is why they say, by grace, the past effort, your own past effort, is making making it easier for you to align yourself with uh, these values and this journey. And right now, if you find yourself not being able to do it as much as you want to, it means you have to keep trying. It means there's work still to be done.
What is a very good example of the situation.
Yeah. So, because it's inexplicable. It's not. It's. I. I'm confessing out here. I still don't know. Suddenly, what switched in me to become so interested in Vedanta, and so many people, their their this will be a common story for a lot of people who've come onto sort of a spiritual journey.
Hmm.
It apparently happens suddenly, but actually it's not sudden. There's a lot of it's a lot of past momentum. Right? Your every action, your every effort adds to that momentum. It makes that anchor on this side of the tug of war stronger, But it's a constant tug of war. And tug of war is what? You may be the strongest side, but if you lose your consistency, you'll be pulled on the other way.
Yes.
The opposite is also,
Hmm.
if you let go, if you become complacent, then your past efforts will be compromised.
Thank you.
The law of causation. So we completed the chapter on the use and abuse of religion in the previous class, where we talked about what is the appropriate path of religion, the appropriate purpose of religion. And now we move on to a core idea in Vedanta philosophy called the law of causation. Broadly, I mean, you've all heard of the law of causation um, in a different form. It's called the law of karma. I'm not being able to open the. There you go. It's called the law of karma. So people talk about karma, um, and perhaps that word itself is very misunderstood. So what is karma exactly? We'll see in this chapter. So let's start reading, and you'll immediately get the pulse of it, and we'll discuss it paragraph by paragraph. Chapter 17, the law of causation.
Chapter 17, Law of Causation, the Supreme Law. The universe is an expression of innumerable laws of nature. They are physical, chemical, biological, psychological, philosophical, and several other laws. These are impeccable, infallible, each having a cause-effect relationship, a cause for an effect and an effect for a cause. The meticulous functioning of the countless laws is the law of causation. They seem to bow in obeisance to some mysterious controller, governor. That unknown, unseen governor is indicated as Brahman, the supreme God, the infinite power that holds the laws together. Acting like a monarch to whom Indians subjects homage. The English poet John Milton, his state is kingly. Thousands at his bidding speed and post over land and ocean without rest. Of this world is therefore a chicken. There is no cause and effect. There is no.
Am I visible? Am I audible?
Speaking.
Am I visible and audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
So, sorry about that. I think there's some internet issues. Let me know if I pause again or I get stuck again. Okay. So, the supreme law. First and foremost, in order to understand causation, you have to understand its premise, the premise of the law of causation. So, the very premise is that this world is made up of innumerable laws of nature. What we collectively call nature or the power of nature is nothing but a accumulation of all its various laws, which are meticulous, which are interconnected, and which are constant. The laws don't stop. It's not that Sunday the law of gravity doesn't work. Laws taking a break. The laws don't get a leave. 24/7, 365 days a year. And these laws are at every level. There are physical laws at the level of physics, at the level of objects and atoms. There are chemical laws. There are biological laws. Various laws of thermodynamics and various laws pertaining to various chemicals and chemical compositions, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry. All of these are perhaps what your children or grandchildren are studying now in school. And you also studied but forgot. What are half these laws? But in addition to physical, chemical, biological laws, there are also subtler laws. There are psychological laws. An oft ignored section, but now its demand is increasing. Everybody has a therapist who's trying to address psychological laws because we don't study about it, and philosophical laws. So, as far as the world of material sciences, that's why it's called the material sciences. As far as the world of material sciences are concerned, uh, our understanding of the physical, chemical, biological laws are very advanced, although it's still skimming the surface. Is very advanced, and then that's what makes humans great. Our capacity to understand these laws and benefit from it, utilize them in our lives. You're sitting inside a building, it's using physical laws. The beams that have been constructed and the roof that has been laid using steel and various other materials, it's using physical laws. Hopefully it is using physical laws. If you find your walls shaking, means that the engineer didn't appropriately apply the laws. But the right application of these laws brings advancements, what we call advancements. So the right application of the various, what we call technology is nothing but physical, chemical, biological laws, period. And they help us advance as a species. We've come really, really far from where we were even a couple of 100 years ago, even a couple of decades ago, to be honest. And these laws extend to the psychological and the philosophical. That's what I want you to appreciate. Just as the material laws help us benefit externally, the psychological and philosophical laws, adhering to them, following them, implementing them appropriately, utilizing them, will help us maintain inner prosperity. Outer prosperity, inner prosperity. The idea is the same. You have to appreciate, understand, appreciate, and implement these laws in life. And if you choose to go against these laws, there'll be consequences. What if you choose to go against gravity? Come to my house, I'm living on the 3rd floor, and say, listen, I'm going to challenge gravity. I won't have to see you again then. You'll go down and khatam. You can't challenge the laws. The idea is not to challenge the law. The idea is to understand it and use it appropriately. If I were you, I would ask you, what is a philosophical law? What's a philosophical law? Attach, you lose. Detach, you gain. Philosophical law. As you think, so you become. Philosophical law. Now, just because you don't understand a law doesn't mean it doesn't exist. If you try to explain, Yashoji, if you try to explain to your son what is the law of thermodynamics, halfway through he'll be distracted. But just because the child doesn't understand the law or is not interested in it, doesn't mean the law doesn't exist. Just because it's beyond your conception doesn't mean that the law, in fact, the law is so subtle, that's why it's perhaps beyond your conception. But growing yourself, lifting yourself, educating yourself to understand, appreciate, and then leverage the law is the work you have to do. Right? So the work you and I have to do is lift ourselves to understand and appreciate what exactly are these various laws of nature, and the extent to which we are aligned with them, the extent to which we are able to understand their purview and their consequences. It'll be better, it'll help us in living our lives. It's about it. That's the first point. That there's innumerable laws. Everything. There's no voodoo. Voodoo means something chamatkar. What is a chamatkar? Incidentally, what is a chamatkar? A chamatkar it's not magic. It's something you don't understand. 2 years ago, if someone didn't tell you about generative AI and showed you what a computer could do, you'd think it's chamatkar. Now today it's exposed to the whole world, so we understand the technology behind it. It's still fascinating, it's still wonderful, but it's less of a chamatkar. We understand there's a logic behind it all. There's a process behind it all. Right? So it's very easy to make an uneducated person believe in a chamatkar. But if you educate yourself, you'll understand. Yeah, there's a subtle law at work. There's a wonderful architecture to this, but it is causation. It is a cause and an effect. There's a certain cause that's leading to a particular effect, and that particular effect is becoming a subsequent cause for a further. It's a chain. So understanding and appreciating these laws is important. Now, all of these laws are functioning meticulously. And wherever something functions meticulously, your thought goes to what is maintaining it? What is managing it? Because without management, nothing happens. A little bit of oversight and things fall apart. So, since this world is functioning so meticulously, they seem to bow in obeisance, he says, to some mysterious controller, some mysterious governor. I'm not saying there is a controller. The fact that it is being controlled, the fact that it is being maintained is a mystery. There appears to be a mysterious controller, a mysterious governor. We don't know what it is. That unknown, unseen governor in Vedanta is indicated as Brahman. In any other religion, it's given a different name. It's called God. We're not saying God is. We're saying this mystery is God. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed. Beautiful, beautiful poem of John Milton. Someday we will read this poem. I can guarantee you, the first time you read this poem, you will be like, what is this? Why is this poetry? What is he writing? I don't understand. You won't understand the poem at the first go. But after reading it a couple of times, when you understand its depth, it's a beautiful poem. They also serve who only stand and wait. John Milton was a beautiful poet who became blind. Now, I'm not a poet, so I don't know what is the role of the eyes in poetry. I cannot fully appreciate it. For John Milton, he thought that his very essence was taken away. His very purpose was taken away. His eyes, through which he perceived the world, which he composed in his wonderful poetry, was taken away from him. How does one deal with such a loss? If you are attached to your eyesight, it will drive you mad. And he wrote this poem in which he's complaining to God, saying, why did you turn me blind? You've turned me useless. You send me here with such a beautiful capability to write poetry and become a poet, and now you've turned me useless. What's my job now here? I don't want to live anymore. And then the beautiful line in the same poem, it goes, they also serve who only stand and wait. You don't have to do things necessarily to play your role. Sometimes your role is just to stand and wait. Don't get attached to your role. Don't get attached to your identity. Up till the age of 30, your role was a certain thing. Between 30 and 50, your role will be something else. After 50, your role will be something altogether different. Between 30 to 50, you may have been a charismatic business person. After 50, that role will change. Don't get attached to your role. Anyway, coming back. In that poem, he expresses that sense of surrender to this unseen hand, this mysterious controller. He calls it, he says, this his state is kingly. Who's the mysterious controller? Is the king. Thousands at his bidding speed. All the laws of nature work at his bidding. Whether it's on land, it's in the ocean, whether it's in the air, without rest, meticulously, constantly, these laws are functioning at his bidding. We don't know what it is. But the fact that the world is working so meticulously, there must be something. Mystery. Anybody who knows exactly what it is, who claims, I know exactly what it is, doesn't know what he's talking about. Anybody who rejects it, there's nothing. What nonsense. Doesn't know what he's talking about. To be spiritual means to be aligned to this mystery. Please understand this. If you lose the sense of mystery, you've lost the sense of spirituality. If you lose the sense of mystery, you've lost the sense of spirituality. So this world is a constant, endless expression of cause and effect at various levels. Physical, physiological, biological, chemical, philosophical. At various levels, there is the incessant play of cause and effect. And it's been functioning from time immemorial. The world is an endless expression of space, time, and causation. Space exists and extends infinitely. Time exists and extends infinitely. Similarly, causation exists and extends infinitely. The chain, you can't quite fix the starting of the chain. Neither can you get a sense of the end of the chain. Even when you ask about the creation of this particular world, you said, oh, what was there before the Big Bang? What happened before the Big Bang? Big Bang is a theory of how this world came about as we know it. And it may be a very accurate theory, although there are nuances to it. But the question is, oh, what was there before the Big Bang? Means, what are you asking? You're asking, what was preceding this particular effect? The Big Bang was a cause for this world. Okay, what was the cause of the Big Bang? The moment you ask this question, you're preceding causation. You're extending causation beyond the so-called start. Similarly, you will ask, oh, once the world ends, what will happen? See, the world has a beginning and an end, but this idea of causation is extending beyond this particular world. So causation extends infinitely, endlessly on either side, whether it's the origin or the end. You can't quite fix a beginning, you can't quite fix an end. It goes beyond. Now, this causation is not only applicable, as I said, to the macrocosm, to the outside world, but even to the microcosm. On one hand, you can think of the microcosm as the inner world. You can also think of the microcosm as the macrocosm being sort of the world at large, and the microcosm being perhaps the smallest of atoms or the smallest of entities of this world. So this causation extends to the macrocosm and the microcosm.
The law of causation governing the macrocosm applies equally to the microcosm. Every human being is subject to this law. It operates at the physical, mental, and intellectual levels. If the physical body has gone through a proper discipline of yoga and exercise, it would presently be hale and healthy. And if the body has no proper physical training, being sensually indulgent, it would be pale and sickly. Similarly, the flow of thoughts and emotions towards the positive or negative would determine the nature of the present inner personality. So what you are now is a result of what you've been doing in the past, dating back from this moment. And what you would be in the future would depend upon what you do from this moment. It is an irrefragable law. The above law has no sway over the Supreme Self. It can only control the material equipments, affect your physical, mental, and intellectual personalities, and not the self within. Your real self is above the law of causation. It is not subjected to cause and effect. You must therefore leave the precincts of your body, mind, and intellect and get to your divine center. Be yourself. You will then govern the world instead of the world governing you.
So the law of causation extends to the microcosm just as it governs the macrocosm. Means that even your individuality is subject to the law of causation. Your physical body, your own mind is subject to the law of causation. If you follow the spiritual disciplines of yoga, you will maintain a healthy body. If you follow the spiritual disciplines of karma, bhakti, jnana, you will maintain a healthy mind. Law. And what you are today is a result of what you have been doing in the past. The chain of causation has landed you here today. It's a chain. Similarly, this chain of causation extends into the future. What you will do today onwards will determine what you become tomorrow. So this chain extends into the future. Now, something he mentions very important is that all these collective laws have a jurisdiction only over your material equipments. When I say you are subject to this law, what I mean is your material equipments are subject to this law. Your body is subject to these laws. Your mind is subject to these laws. Your intellect is subject to these laws. But the laws do not extend to your Atman, the Supreme Self. The Self is untainted, unaffected. It's beyond. See, nothing happening on the screen will suppose there's a fire in the movie you're watching. Do you feel hot?
No.
It's happening on the screen, right? So the self is the sakshi. The self is the witness of all of this. The law affects only the material equipments. The Supreme Self is beyond the law of causation. It's not subject to cause and effect. So that's why we say the concept of enlightenment is transcending the law of causation, transcending karma, going beyond karma. This is what it means. That karma has no effect, no impact, no sway on the Atman. It has all the sway on your physical body. It has all the sway on your mind. It has all the sway on your intellect. Even if you are spiritually enlightened, your physical body will decay. Your mind will perhaps, with time decay. Your intellect will decay. But your Atman, your real self, is unaffected.
The law of causation governing humanity falls under two categories. They are known as the law of destiny and the law of karma. The law of destiny deals with your past and present status, whereas the law of karma covers your past, present, and future. It covers the law of destiny and goes beyond into the future to explain your life in its entirety. Study it on its own merits. Examine the logic and reason that supports it. By a thorough grasp of the immaculate functioning of the law, you can steer your personality to the highest order of life.
So the rest of this chapter is going to be an understanding of the laws of causation. Broadly, the laws of causation have been broken up into the law of destiny and the law of karma. The law of destiny is talks about the impact of the past on your present, whereas the law of karma is an extension of the destiny and talks about the impact of your present on your future, the uncreated future. So destiny covers the past and the present, and karma extends into the future, right? So law of destiny and the law of karma are going to be the next two topics, and of course no points for guessing if you already had this thought. The theory of reincarnation comes from this particular law, comes from an understanding of this particular law, is supported by this idea, right? So the next three sections will be the law of destiny, the law of karma, and of course the theory of reincarnation.
Law of destiny. The constitution of each human being is a cumulative effect of his past thoughts, desires, and actions. His past activities are the cause. His present personality is the effect. The effect is called destiny. Your destiny at any time is therefore the result of your past. Your past activities are fait accompli. You have no control over what you have accomplished earlier. You cannot alter them now. You will have to face the results set by those causes. Hence, your present destiny is fixed. You naturally become a victim of your own past activities. If you have had a proper course of education, you would be a literate now. If not, if you have neglected your study and learning, you would be an illiterate. Likewise, if you had gone through a proper course of spiritual discipline, you would command success and peace in your life. If, however, you had chosen a material and sensual life, you would be mentally agitated and sorrowful. You reap what you sow. This is the law of destiny.
So a summary of the law of destiny is you reap what you sow. And that's what it is. You are a sum total, a cumulative of your past. Nothing is escaped. See, this is not a punishment. All we're saying is that this world has a beautiful technology which accounts for everything. Those of you who are running organizations will know what an ERP is. You know what an ERP is? Tally. You know what tally is?
Counting subject.
Tally is, no matter how hard you work, something or the other misses. You can't cover everything. In a single organization, some transactions, some this, some aspects, it's very difficult to cover. The law of destiny is the best ERP. Everything is accounted for. You are a result of your past. That is the concept of destiny. And that is what destiny is. Your destiny is your condition today. You blame, you hold your head and you say. Incidentally, people only blame their destiny when things are bad. Kya naseeb hai mera? No one thinks about it when they win a jackpot. Something works out. But the idea is that your destiny is not something that some third person or some third entity or some god will bestow upon you. I did a lot of puja and therefore my destiny is good. No, that's not. Incidentally, if you're involved in a lot of spiritual activities, it has a very positive effect on your personality. But it's not because some god likes you and has some preferential liking towards you. Your actions, your thoughts, even your thoughts, your actions, your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, the sum total of that is what you are today. The effect of the sum total of that is what you are today. Now, at the physical level, though, it's very clear. At the physical level, it is very clear because we understand the law, the physical laws. We understand that if you have a sedentary lifestyle, that being the cause, what will be the effect? The effect is aches and pains in your body, lack of fitness, obesity, or whatever. Because we understand the physical law, we are able to see its, to join the dots, as they say. But we don't quite understand the psychological laws. We don't quite understand the philosophical laws. If you've had a material and sensual life, you will be mentally agitated and sorrowful. A lot of people will have a problem with this line. How can you say a material life is bad? Why are you saying that? Please understand the law.
Both Prachi and Ankita smiling.
Huh?
Both Prachi and Ankita smiling.
Sure, many people are smiling. But the idea is, if you appreciate, I mean, it's now hopefully after 6 months in this class, you understand what we mean by this line. A material life is attachment to material objects. A sensual life is attachment to sensual, the senses and its instant gratifications, right? So to be acquainted and understand these laws is equally important. Otherwise, you won't be able to appropriately utilize them. But the point is that at every level, a sum total of all your past actions has led you to what you are today. You are a victim of your past. You can even say you're if good things have happened, you're a beneficiary of your past. Equally. We use the word victim not to signify, not to highlight anything negative. We're using the word victim to say you can't change anything. It's not in your control. Good or bad. Means that past you, that past version of you, whatever thoughts, ideas, emotions, actions they have committed, that has come to you. You have inherited it. You inherit your past. So we use the word victim not to highlight something bad. We only want to highlight that you have no control of what has happened in the past. You can't change it. You must accept it. You have to face the result of those past causes. You are an effect of the past causes. Period. That's the law of destiny in one line. Yeah, Prachi. Or Ankit.
So it becomes a chicken and egg kind of thing, like, does destiny flow from karma or does karma flow from destiny? Like,
Destiny is,
I mean,
destiny is a result of
we can say that, the karma. Sorry?
that your destiny is the effect of your past karma. It is a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
Your destiny is a result of your past karma, and your present karma will determine your future destiny. Your present destiny is a result of your past karma, and your present karma will determine your future destiny. Absolutely, it's a chicken and egg situation. The point we're trying to make is, by your own volition, by your own judgment, by your own choices, that was the cause which has led to your present destiny. Your destiny is a result of your karma, not anyone else's karma. Now we can go back and say how, yes, in those circumstances you did karma as per your best understanding and whatever, or your, there may have been constraints and certain reasons why you did what you did. We're not getting into that. Point is, there is the thing we're trying to clarify is there is no third party which is determining what should be Ankit's destiny. Ankit has been really promoting my name. Vishnu Bhagwan will say, Ankit has really been praying to me. Let me grant him a boon. These are all stories for for children. There's no God which is determining your destiny. God is that mysterious power which ensures that the law of karma functions. That's what God is. Please understand that. I'm not saying there is no God. I am just saying God is not determining your destiny. The law of destiny, the law of karma is determining your destiny. God is that mysterious power which is ensuring that the law functions as it is supposed to function. It's like saying if you're using a platform for investing money, suppose you're using Zerodha. You're using Zerodha, or what do you use? I hope you invest money. No?
Yeah,
Suppose,
but not zero.
huh? You don't use Zerodha. What do you use? Okay, doesn't matter. You don't have
A third party.
Okay, you have your own. Anyway, so suppose you're using Zerodha. Now suppose you sell a share and you profit from it. You don't say Zerodha is giving me my profit. Zerodha is simply the platform that's ensuring that this transaction happens properly. Your own choices of buying the share at a certain price and selling it at a certain price has resulted in your profit. Zerodha is just the platform that ensures it functions properly. Sometimes it doesn't function incidentally. Sometimes it fails. That's why people lose money. I always complain. So God is not determining your destiny. God is simply that mysterious power that is maintaining the law of destiny. The law is
So,
yeah.
so it sounds like what would you say about astrology or something like that, where a person is born and there is a chart on it as to approximately how or the probabilities of what the life would be like. Was is it like bullshit, or is it that the past karmas of the previous life have determined this present life's probabilities?
See, if you first of all, I don't want to comment and conclude on anything about astrology because I've not studied it. It's very curious though, right? But any astrologer worth their name will tell you it is the latter, that it's an imprint, it's a mapping of your asanas, as they say, right? So astrology is a technology by which uh, it's a collective knowledge which maps your individuality uh, and gives an insight into what kind of person or what kind of life and what kind of situations you will perhaps encounter and have to deal with based on your past, right? So that entire map of astrology is based on what you're bringing. Now astrology claims to be a technology that is able to decode that, understand that, right? Because not everything may be apparent or easy to uh, we are not objective in our in trying to understand ourselves. So that is where perhaps astrology could be a tool, but I don't know enough about the subject. Um and see, especially when it comes to such uh, subjects where a lot of it flows over our head, right? When a lot of things flows over your head, understand that there'll be a lot of people trying to mislead you as well, taking advantage of that. So I'm not so much dismissing that field of knowledge, But the fact that because so few of us are able to understand its actual technicalities and objectively accept or reject it, it's very easy to for anyone claiming to be an astrologer to play on your weakness, and your weakness is your desire to know the future, your desire to be safe and secure, right? That's the weakness. So no comments. I certainly won't go to the extent of saying it's bullshit. Certainly not. um, but just like in any subtle field, it's very difficult. It's not about um, it's difficult to find someone authentic who will perhaps draw out the actual nuances of it, the actual limitations of it, right? All of this comes from in our particular philosophy, in our particular tradition. There is a concept of it's called Surya Siddhanta, right? Um, and it's an incredible text, um, which is more astronomy than astrology, really. But based on astronomy, it is predicting a certain sort of kind of, you know, um, and astrology is an extension of that, saying we are ourselves sort of mapped to this sort of cosmic cycle, right? But anyway, I am not studied it, so I don't want to draw any give any conclusions to it. What I want to highlight is that astrology feeds on your weakness, just as even spirituality feeds on your weakness. You go to a temple and they say itna chadhao ye milega. What is that? Feeding on your weakness. Why we only Let's not only blame astrology, uh, even puja part feeds on your weakness. It feeds on your fear, right? So
Why
doing the
complete
right.
terrorism is also on the same basis that
Hanji?
even the terrorism also is
Huh.
based on this only.
Thank God we are not terrorists, right? Um,
But Utsaji, astrology is a highly developed science, and maybe they are not able to accurately because there are so many errors also in judgment of the not only in judgment but also it's first thing, it is a highly developed science.
sure.
That we have to admit. Only thing is we don't understand it fully.
No,
That
no,
is
that's precisely what I'm saying. That it's uh, see, in fact, even the Surya Siddhanta, for example, it's an incredible text, right? So it's
some of the predictions have been correct also. It is not that it is not a science. So we only thing is the accuracy is not that much.
no,
Uh,
I don't even want to comment on that. I don't know.
yeah.
Uh, it, it needs a scientist to objectively translate a science or explain a science. So perhaps the better the astrologer, the more the accuracy. But I mean, it's as again without digressing because this is not the subject. But as far as the law of destiny is concerned, even an astrologer will agree with you that you're a result of your past. If
Yeah.
that's the purpose of your
100%.
that's very
There's
that you know whatever map the rashi or the nakshatra, all these things you have is a mapping of your past, right, into the present. So the law of destiny simply states that you are a result of your past. There is no god who is determining uh, what I
सर
have
जी,
done.
हम कितने भी डिसबिलीवर ऑफ एस्ट्रोलॉजी हों, लेकिन शादी के टाइम में हमेशा पत्री मिलाते हैं ना, एवरीवन.
So no, don't get me wrong, omji, I am I mean, it doesn't matter. My personal opinion doesn't matter in this. I really enjoy meeting and speaking to astrologers, but I'm also conscious of um,
their shortcomings.
my own mental, and any individual, their own mental sort of weakness that it feeds on, right? So
नहीं, देखा जाए तो मेडिकल साइंस में भी देखा जाए तो इन दे ऑल्सो समटाइम मेक मिस्टेक्स इन मेडिकल साइंस. They are not able to correctly assess the disease and all that, give a proper medicine. Many things, like in homeopathy also, sometimes it is very accurate, sometimes it is not accurate. So you can't say the technology is not there, science is there. Only thing is it is
but
not.
at no point did I say that it is definitely a science. It is a scientific endeavor, absolutely, and it's wonderful, right? It's such a
Uh, Hari Om, can I please comment on this?
yeah, please.
Actually, I myself studied astrology and I had a lot of problems in my life. So I thought instead of going to astrologist, let me do research. And I went till a lot of depth and studied. So uske baad, what was my conclusion is it is absolutely a mirror of your destiny. I mean, mirror of your past karmas that the planets are placed. And there are different yogas. Like one planet is pulling you up, the other is pulling you down. So sometimes this is all a science of probability. And at times you do not know. 99% वाली चीज नहीं होती और 1% वाला हो जाता है. It's like that. But कौन सा होगा ना वो डिपेंड करता है आपके प्रेजेंट कर्मास पे. लाइक अगर मेरा एक योग है जो मुझे बहुत पैसा मिलेगा और दूसरा योग है कि मेरा लॉस होगा फाइनेंशियल, तो माय कर्मास, माय विलिंगनेस, माय डिटर्मिनेशन थोड़ा सा वो मैटर करता है कि आप किसको अपने कर्मा से ज्यादा पावर दे रहे हैं. राइट. सो एंड रेमेडीज की बात करें तो सारी रेमेडीज की एक ही कंक्लूजन मैंने निकाला, बिकॉज आई ऑल्सो आई एम नॉट इनटू दैट पूजा पाठ और ये दान दो वो दान दो. सो द रेमेडी इज अपने इष्ट की पूजा करो पावर के लिए, बुद्धि के लिए, कि वो आपको एक करेक्ट लाइट में करेक्ट डायरेक्शन दें और आप उससे खुद बाहर आओ. यू हैव टू कम आउट, नोबडी इज गोइंग टू पुल यू आउट. एंड जिससे कहते हैं ना कि रोते नहीं है क्योंकि स्टार्स वीक हो जाते हैं. जब आप रोते हो, क्रिप करते हो, तो आप अपने नेगेटिव प्लैनेट्स को पावर दे रहे हो. जब आप पॉजिटिवली देख रहे हो, यू आर गिविंग पावर टू योर पॉजिटिव प्लैनेट्स, वो प्रोबेबिलिटी बढ़ जाती है. इट्स ऑल अबाउट दैट. और जिस दिन से मुझे ये समझ में आया, मैंने एस्ट्रोलॉजी बंद कर दी, क्योंकि इट्स ऑल माई कर्मास हु इज डिटरमाइनिंग माई फ्यूचर. और उसके बाद आई थिंक आई एम इन अ बेटर प्लेस. सो दैट्स
As you
माई.
just said, Buddhi. So from this beginning of this class or Vedanta, probably the word intellect got into my head in just last 4 years. Courtesy Vedanta. They've explained what is the importance of Vedanta, like what is the importance of this intellect, and how it is like a muscle and which we only have to build it. We all have it, we don't build it. So that's the basic point which I took from your conversation. And all sciences, I think all these sciences are science as well as an art. You need proper guys to interpret it. Like a doctor, like a homeopathy doctor, Omji said, like an astrologer, or like a scientist, everybody can make a mistake. But what we, now I would love to call myself also a Vedantin. We should believe in just growing our intellect. That is only going to help us, and that is the only thing which is going to help us, in my humble opinion. What I have learned in literature.
Absolutely. So I'll just see, every time you talk about astrology, it will trigger a huge. We can go on for hours and hours, right? And Omji, I'm correct me. I certainly maintain that absolutely it's a science. It's a scientific endeavor, definitely, and that's why I didn't want to comment. It's certainly not rubbish, for starters, but I don't know enough about it to draw any conclusions about it entirely. But as far as our subject is concerned, the subject of the law of destiny, any astrologer worth their name will agree that this concept that you are a result of your past is aligned to the ideas of astrology, if that was your question. Okay, well, we are short over time. Thank you so much for joining. and we'll continue our discussion on the law of destiny and the law of karma in the next class. So we'll see you on Wednesday. I have no travel plans, so we'll certainly meet on Wednesday. Thank you so much. Hari Om. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.